There. I am so happy that you've tuned in to The Profitable Photographer and that there's something about Luci Dumas that maybe causes you to log in again and again and again. That's my hope, and I'm really grateful for you listening. I'm grateful if you subscribe, check out my YouTube channel if you're not watching this, or all the podcast places you can find me. And it'd be just really helpful if you subscribe there, because then the systems know that people are listening and I know you're listening. So I appreciate it. And I'm going to get on with the show. So today is part 2 of my 10 big ideas for marketing wedding and portrait photography in the real world. Part 1, I covered the basics of having a successful business and how it's important to have lots of other things in place too, because if you market like crazy, but your branding, your sales ability, your presentation, uh, the way you connect with people, all of that isn't strong, then no marketing in the world can create the kind of success that I know you want to have in your business. So the first 3, just a little quickie, is the importance of creating a robust contact list and using it, not just random contacts from anyone in the world, but especially the lists, including the home addresses of people that you've worked with, and then finding ways to collect those contacts in places that your ideal clients are hanging out. So that was 1. 2 was wall portrait displays. So finding places that people can see your work, and I had some ideas for that. And then 3 was creating alliances. Now, some of the other 10 are similar to creating alliances, but I'm breaking them down in a little bit more, I don't know, better chunks of different ways you can think about it. So with that being said, one of the important ways, this is number 4, she said as she held up 3 fingers. Number 3 is the possibility of a gift certificate program where a nonprofit or some other organization that can benefit by income that's serving your ideal clients is a program where they actually sell your certificates. I don't know if you've purchased Girl Scout cookies. I'm guessing a lot of y'all have. And I've purchased chocolates. Some fundraisers sell wrapping paper. And so having an opportunity, maybe it's a school or a children's hospital, a pet, like a pet rescue, can sell certificates, and that gives them a session, maybe something to apply to purchase, and they keep the money and you get the hot leads. Now, you do not want to do this if the people that are purchasing are not ideal clients, because you'll spend a lot of time and get very disappointing results in that. Another aspect of that can be that there are prizes to the people that are selling these gift certificates. And within your networking, you can get prizes from other businesses that serve your same client base. So that supports them as well, because then their name gets in front of the ideal client. You can have a grand prize that is a beautiful framed portrait. Lots of ways to encourage whoever would be selling those to compete with each other. So that is thought number 1. number one for today, but number 4 in our 10 big ideas. All right. So number 5 is I want to talk about publications. And there's a little note after it that says proceed with caution. So back in the olden days, I used to be able to get great work from the Yellow Pages. And also there was a magazine called Parent Magazine, San Diego Parent Magazine, that was pretty much distributed in locations where my ideal clients would see them. Toys R Us, doctor's offices, things like that. Well, those went the way of the dinosaur. I'm sure you're not surprised. And so there are still publications that we could have advertisements in that could bring some things in, but I think only if there's some other like where it's partnered with other ways for that community that would get those publications to understand who you are. So it's pretty tricky. I know I get this, and I see this on Facebook a lot, where some community will, like, let's say San Diego, there's a place where my ideal clients are. It's La Costa, which is up north of downtown near the beach. So there's publications that make these magazines for communities. And so I might be solicited, or you might, from that publication that says, hey, we have this magazine that goes out to all the people in La Costa, and they give you all these reasons why you should book with them. I have never heard anybody having success with this particular kind of thing unless there's more meat behind it, and more assurance. And I've tried some of those, and yeah, it's like taking a match to money. We don't want to do that. Now, there are people who will trade, let's say, for the cover. And especially in smaller towns, this can be helpful. One of my coaching clients, she's moving now, but she was in a smallish town in the Bay Area in California called Ripon. And there was a bona fide publication that people would get on their doorsteps and read. And she did the covers of those. And she didn't necessarily turn those sessions into money, but the community, along with the other things she did to become known, would see that work on the front. And then I think she also had an ad that was part of the trade. So think about, like, there's a little magazine in my neighborhood that is on our doorstep once a month. And especially if I were going to be promoting pet photography, if that's what I was doing right now, the people that get this little handout have pets. Their income level is appropriate for what I do. And it's something that you pick up because you want to find out what's going on in the hood. So proceed with caution, but there's some potential. Okay, number 6 is networking. That was 5. And that's a huge topic. So I'm going to picture this category as networking where you go to events, like you join your BNI group, or I was part of a group called Leads that was women in business, or your Chamber of Commerce. Now, one thing to remember is people in networking groups are usually trying to get business. So I don't look at those opportunities as a way to meet my ideal clients. They're probably high percentage are not. Otherwise, they'd be too busy to go have breakfast once a week. That's not everybody, but that's a kind of a thing to remember. but those people know people. And the trick is we don't go to a network event and just hand out our cards. Here's yours, here's mine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then that's it. And say, oh, nobody called. It's about building relationships. So going early, having something that you can give them that is a little more memorable than a simple normal business card can be helpful. I love square, like they're like 3x3. They're on really heavy cardstock, almost like bar coasters. And my last business cards were on that surface. And so when I handed a card to them, first of all, has beautiful branding, has a lovely photograph on the back. And when you touch it, it's impressive. So if you're giving something, give something that, like, don't have a million tiny pictures on it, something that's going to get reactions. And you say, oh, well, that one's too big. It's not going to fit in my card holder. Exactly. So it's going to be more findable. It's going to pop up. Let's see. So when you go to a networking group, find a few people that you have a nice connection with, and then call them up afterwards. Go to lunch together, email them, see if you can send them, a real connection or real lead. Build those relationships. And then what I alluded to, that people know people. So let's say I wanted to use my number 4, which is a gift certificate fundraising program. I would, when I give my little pitch, a lot of networking groups, you get up and you say who you are, and then you say what you're looking for. I might say, I'm looking for schools or hospitals, an introduction where they might want to know about my fundraising program. So it's that intro that can really help you. Or for me, and we'll go into this at the next little class in 2 weeks, but I get a lot of work from charity auctions. And so at networking groups, I would frequently say that I was looking for nonprofit organizations that are having galas where their client base is in North County Coastal, Poway, San Marcos, not downtown San Diego. That is just, well, San Diego's changed, but back when I was doing more of these, I needed to target those areas. Let's see. Oh, so there's the other aspect of networking, which is building kind of a collection of people that you love to give leads to, that as you cultivate those, you find that they refer you back. When I did weddings, I was like the queen of it, and I didn't know that it was my superpower. I just knew that I liked to work with certain people when I did a wedding. I would get to know the florist, the DJ, the cake baker, particularly the facility. I would make friends, and then I would give their name out, and I would send them actual photographs. I think I mentioned this last episode of The Profitable Photographer, but something that they would put out. Now, in those days, there wasn't digital files to give and share, but I absolutely still recommend some printed things, because digital files, people aren't necessarily seeing who provided those. And you can put your logo on, but frequently they'll take it off. And it's just a waste of time to try to be like, hey, I promised I would give you some photos if you kept my logo on. You just don't want to get into that. So I also referred photographers. And at least a third, when I was really active doing weddings for 10 years, at least a third of my weddings came from photographer friends. And the reason is I wanted to make sure when I sent work, when I wasn't available, they were in good hands. I wanted to share the wealth, and it came back to me. So, yeah, so that's more on the networking. Now, here's a little bonus tip about your elevator speech. So get a pen, write this down. There's two fun ways to introduce yourself, and then there's a not fun way. So the not fun way is, this is not bad. I'm Luci Dumas. I'm a portrait photographer, and I specialize in art of people that you love that will be gorgeous in your home. Not bad. Real bad would be, I'm Luci, I'm a photographer. So anyway, so the fun opportunity is to either at the beginning say something intriguing or at the end. So at the beginning might be, hey, I'm Luci Dumas and I help freeze time. Or I am memory insurance. And people go, what do you mean by that? Then I can say, well, I'm a portrait photographer. Kids are my specialty. And my goal is to create art of children and families that will be treasured heirlooms that you'll every day you will enjoy and be able to travel back in time to today, something like that. Okay, the other fun one is where you start with what's expected, but you finish with but what I really do. So, hey, I'm Luci Dumas. Let's see if I can get this one up fast. I'm a business coach for photographers that want to take their business to the next level and have a thriving photography business that fulfills all their dreams. So I don't have this written out anywhere. I'm just faking it. But then I would say, but what I really do. And so what I really do is I help people fulfill their passion, or I help. So I need to think about this a little bit more, but something that goes a little deeper. What I really do is help people get over their fears of sales and be able to bring home $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 orders or more in a comfortable way, something like that. So I can do that better, but you get the idea. All right. One of the tricky parts of of networking groups like BNI and different things is they will so often say, oh, that's great. I need a new headshot. And because what I do, and I put so much effort into everything I do, headshots are not something I normally offer. Now, I do turn them into, when I get an inquiry, I've often turned it into a family session where the executive portrait was a little bonus that we added to the portrait session. But it's always kind of awkward. And so you want to come up with some way to respond to that. And without, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking on, and so therefore, but be prepared for that and be prepared to have an answer. Now, I might potentially, if I were, if it was back 20 years ago when I was in a really good networking group, but I heard that a lot, I might do a once a month executive shot for my networking group event. And that would give them the opportunity to come to my studio. We'd have some fun. We'd do those executive portraits, and that would make them more familiar, but they would see the fine art on the walls. So now, executive portraits have become more creative in the last 10 years. So it might be something that today I might say, oh, that's awesome. What I do is professional branding, and I'm going to analyze your message, and we're going to come up with locations and colors and the feeling and things that you can use on your website, on your business cards, on a billboard, on your book, if you're writing a book, that can be used in many, many ways. So it's just a little thing to be aware of. All right. So number 7, and this is something you can create on your own or you can create through your networking, is a mastermind group. And a mastermind group, now the official mastermind group format is where you have a small collection of people that within the time frame, each of you can be in the hot seat and the rest of the group gives you ideas. So if, let's say there's 7 people and each person gets 7 minutes, and these are not necessarily people that have to be in your like they may just be smart, active, creative people doing great with their own businesses. They may not have ideal clients in their client base. Now, it's awesome if they do. But you might say, I'm looking for ways and ideas for, I'll just say in my case, getting my podcast more listened to on a regular basis, because more is always more in this case. And then each of the 6 people, without me answering or arguing back or illuminating more ideas, just people share and then they move on. Now, another option is within, like, one of my coaching clients, I helped her put this together, and we had her invite people within the wedding industry that she enjoyed working with, and they could invite people. And they just met for like coffee once a week or every other week. And then every quarter they had a happy hour where people could invite more people. And they just went around and shared what's going on, and it was more social. So that's it for today. The 4 topics in review: gift certificate programs, the ins and outs of publications, some touches on networking, particularly networking groups like Chamber of Commerce. And then it's kind of a subheading, or it can be separate, but creating a mastermind group. One little thing that's been coming up a lot is, it seems like in groups like Chamber of Commerce, they always want to trade membership for you being the photographer. And personally, I think that I don't recommend it for most people unless you're an event photographer, because you want people to see you as who you are. So if you're a fine art portrait photographer that specializes in art, like I have behind me, if you're looking on YouTube, being there with a camera doing snaps, happy snaps, is not getting them aware of what I do. And also, I would, if I was doing this every month, let's say, there was a luncheon once a month, I would easily charge 500 to 1,000 minimum to photograph something like that. So it's not a fair trade. I've pondered offering trades, like, sure, I can do this event if I can get a $400, $500 credit towards the services of hairdressers, copywriters, massage therapists, or something, so that they're also donating their time to provide photographs. It's just, to me, it's something that it devalues us. So think about that. Be careful. It also interferes with the ability to really be networking and talking and hanging out and laughing and things like that. So yeah, proceed with caution in that. So that is it for today. And again, you can go to lucidumascoaching.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see the link for the 10 big ideas for marketing in the real world. Thanks a million for tuning in for the 262nd time or the first time. All right. Mwah. Bye. And turning it off now. Let's see where it is. There it is. Okay. Oops. I didn't realize I had all this sunshine. Bye.